In this lesson, we'll take a look at a few output options for our projects in Mudbox. So we're getting close to the end of your first day in Mudbox, and you've gone through and created a really cool little creature from scratch, kind of bringing in some geometry and then learning about sculpting and bringing in new pieces and painting textures. So now, once we've got our creature created in Mudbox, there are a few different things that we could do. If we just wanted to create an image of this, we could just go up to render and we could save a screen image. And there's presets for the screen size, or you could do 2 times or 4 times the screen size. You can save with transparency, and then all we'd have to do is save that image out, and that'll save basically a shot of our model so that we can take it, look at it, critique, show it to somebody else, whatever it is that we need to do. We can also record a movie or record a turntable movie. So if we wanted to just have our creature sort of rotating around, we could do a turntable. There's a lot of settings in here for the size of the image that we would create, the format of the movie, and then the timing, so how many frames that's going to be. And then it'll kind of record a movie of that turntable going all the way around. So let's just do it with the default settings and go ahead and say create. So I'm just going to call it creature turn, and let's go ahead and save that out. So it's going to take it a minute, so let me pause the video. So there you can see, I don't know if this will show playing up, but playing here, but you can see we've got a nice turntable going there. Now, if we're going to be taking this out into another project, if this is part of some sort of a movie or game that we're creating, we'll probably want to get this out with normal maps. And so that's going to require the baking of a normal map. And a normal map is just a map that's going to allow us to get this look or something close to this look on our low resolution mesh, because this mesh right now is in the millions of polygons and we're not going to be able to rig and animate this. So the level that we're going to be able to work with this at is probably going to be down here at level 2 or 3. And you can see we lose all of our detail here. So what we do to fight this is to create a normal map. So let's go up to UVs and maps. And let me go back up to the top here so we can see what we're trying to get. So it's level 7, the detail here at level 7 is what we're trying to replicate. And so let's go into UVs and maps, and we're going to go into extract texture maps and create a new operation. Okay, so we want to create a normal map. There's lots of different kinds of maps that we can create. Displacement maps will allow you to actually deform the geometry at render time. Normal maps will allow you, like in a game, to make it look like the detail's there, even though you're not really doing anything to the geometry. So let's select a normal map. It's going to bring up this window, and it gives us a very step-by-step idea of what we're doing. So the low res is the target, and the high res is the source. In this case, both of our target and our source are both the same mesh. They're just different levels of that mesh. So let's go ahead and I'm going to select the creature and let's add it in to both of these. Now in the target, it's at level 0. In the source, it's at level 7. Now I don't actually want to bake it on level 0. I want to use level 2, which is where we were at, so that we get a little bit more definition to the shape. Level 0 is really, really low res, so let's use level 2. Okay, now there are different methods of calculating the normals. I'm going to choose ray casting. There's also subdivision, which you can use if you're using the same model with different subdivisions. You can use that method. Otherwise, you could use completely different geometry and use ray casting. I'll choose best guess for search distance. And then let's make a 2K map, so we'll change the size. Compatibility, we'll leave that on Maya, Softimage, and set it to tangent. The map type is texture, it's not PTEX. And then we can change the file name. So let's go ahead and set this. And I'm going to save it into referenced files. And I'll just save it as a JPEG. And we'll call this body normal. Save, and I want to make sure that this preview as normal map is turned on. Okay, so what's going to happen is it's going to look at level 2 and it's going to look at level 7. And the map that it's going to create is going to allow us to get the look of level 7 on level 2 by applying a specific kind of map that looks kind of like this on this level 2 geometry using the UVs that we created. So again, we need to have UVs in this case for this, okay, because we're using a texture, not PTEX. So let's go ahead and hit extract. So it's going to go through this process of actually calculating this and extracting. Once it's done, it'll create a new map that we'll be able to take a look at. So we'll go ahead and let this finish up. So now it says the map extraction has finished. So let's go ahead and say OK to that. Close that out. Okay. Let's just go down to level 2 and see what's going on down there. So it doesn't look that great, but you can see that we now have a new normal map located in here. And let me actually click off of this. So you can kind of see some of that detail coming through. And so if we go into our UVs, you can see that there's the normal map that has been created. Now you can see that there's actually some arms in the side of our normal map, which is not good. It's actually gone and looked out too far away from the body. And so to fix things like that, we can go ahead and recalculate. So you see how that's on, that should be on the body, but we're seeing now an arm there. So let's go ahead and bake again. So we can go into the same extraction operation, and all of our same settings are still there. Okay, so in this time, let's go ahead and use subdivision. That avoids the shooting out of the rays. And let's see if that does anything better. So we'll go ahead and hit extract. And it's finished up. So let's take a look and see if that map is better. So you can see in this map, there's no arm there, which is good. So it was looking out from this body and the arm was too close and it encountered the arm. You could also play with the search distance to fix that as well. So if we go into our image browser, if you want to take a look at this map, you can see here's what this normal map looks like. So it's just kind of a fake to tell applications that have this applied how we want the surface to look. Okay, so really quickly, let's see what this looks like in another application. So let's take our creature and we'll just take him at level 2 where he is, and just real quickly, let's go ahead and send him over to Maya. So I'm going to go into the preferences and we'll flatten paint layers. That's good. Let's go ahead and send it. So you can also export all of this, but I just want to look at this real quickly before we end here. So we'll say send selected as new scene. And it says that our mesh isn't at level 0. Do we want to send level 0 or our current level? I want to actually send the current level. So I'll say send mesh at current level. So here is Maya. Let me turn off all these little windows here. Hit F to frame it. So there's our geometry. Let's take a quick look at it. I'm going to select this and just smooth, soften the edges really quickly. Let's go to shading, smooth shade. So there's our level 2. Let's take a look and see what the maps look like. So we'll go into hardware texturing. There's our color map. Doesn't look like much, but once we turn on the normal map, go to high quality rendering, we should get a little bit more detail in here on this body. So this mesh is low enough where you could start to rig and animate it. And there you can see we've got some of the detail coming through on the normal, even though this is the very low resolution. Now there's a lot of work that can be done on these maps. You can see we've got some artifacts down there, but I just wanted to show you the fact that you can bring these out into other applications. That's one of the ways that the objects here in Mudbox work. Now another method of sort of exporting everything, if we go ahead and turn this back up, is to export the object itself. So you can go in and export this as an OBJ, so export selection. You can also go into each of the paint layers and export each one of those. So you could export selected, or if you had a bunch of these, so for instance, if we still had all of our diffuse maps, we could go in and say export channel merged. So that would export the entire diffuse channel merged into one texture map, and it wouldn't bother all of our layers. So work very non-destructively. All right, so we went through very, very quickly kind of your first day in Mudbox, taking you from bringing in geometry, sculpting, shaping, working with UVs, painting textures. So at this point, you've gone through kind of one line to get to a specific location, but we really didn't kind of talk about a lot of different things. We didn't touch on everything. And so if you're, having gone through this, if you're really interested in working with Mudbox and want to get deeper in, the Introduction to Mudbox training will take you through all that. It's a longer course. It'll take you through the interface and what all these what all these menu items do. We'll talk about, we have courses on actually each of these sculpt tools. We have a course that covers a lot of these sculpt tools and how those work. Same thing with the paint tools. And so we have training that goes deeper into the specifics of these. The purpose of this course was really just to get you kind of excited about Mudbox and get you going so that you can kind of see and make sure that you like it, see how it's working for you, and kind of get used to it before you really dig in and start to learn how Mudbox works. So I hope you've enjoyed the last hour or two going through this little project, and I really hope you've enjoyed your first day working in Mudbox. I had a great time. We'll see you next time.